Today we're going to talk about the care for bearded dragons. So we're just going to go through the basic care, the setup, what it's going to look like for it, stuff like that. The bearded dragon's generally going to live 8 to 10 years, and they're going to get about 20 to 24 inches. The males might be slightly bigger, but normally there's not too big of a difference between the two. A full-size bearded dragon should be in a 40 breeder like is pictured here. We do say you can start with a 20-gallon for one of these babies, but within the year they're going to need to move up to the 40 breeder. They grow very fast. 40 breeder will be okay for 2 bearded dragons. You might want to move up depending on your own personal preference. It might be a little crowded, but you can stick to bearded dragons in a 40 breeder. The bedding that we have them on is going to be the Desert Blend ground walnut shell. You can do Reptisand or do a carpet, like a jungle carpet or a sand carpet. The benefit of the walnut shell is that it decreases the chance of impaction. It tastes very bitter for them, so they're going to spit it out if they get it in their mouths, as well as it's granulated, so it kind of goes through their system a little better. We do recommend staying away from sand because they have a tendency to swallow it and then it causes impaction and constipation for them. Their hot spot needs to be around 95 to 100 degrees, give or take a few degrees. You should be setting up a gradient for your tank, so on the other side it should be around 70 so they can't escape that heat if they want to. A good thing to do with them is give them a stick so they can move up and down the temperature range. That really helps with them. If you are checking their temperature, make sure you're checking it right in that hot spot and not on the side of the wall. The bulbs that we're going to recommend, generally we'll first go off with a Solar Glow. So the Solar Glow 125 is good for a 40 breeder. If you're thinking about doing a 20, you're going to do a UVB, which is going to be the 150 watt UVB, along with like a 75 watt basking light. If you're doing the 40 breeder, you can do the 150 watt UVB as well as a 100 watt red or white light. The red lights you can keep on 24 hours a day. The white lights you're going to have to turn on and off every 12 hours. What we enjoy about the mercury vapor is it is a little bit more resilient and it has really good UVB penetration. So basically these have a 6-month guarantee. They're guaranteed to last for 6 months at least. Usually it's up to a year or more. With the UVBs we only have the 2-month guarantee. They're a little bit less likely to last as long, as well as there's 2 different bulbs. So that also will clear up a little bit of space above your tank. As babies, they're going to eat about 80% insects, 20% vegetation. When they get older, it's going to be more about 40% vegetation, 60% insects. We don't recommend using mealworms at this small age because the exoskeleton's hard for them to break down and it's not too nutritious. But generally, they can eat up to 5 to 6 small dozen crickets a day. In addition to their crickets and greens, we do recommend using calcium powder at every feeding or at least every other feeding. The calcium they're going to get is calcium with D3. That's going to help them, along with the UVB, is going to help them kind of absorb the calcium within their body and help them grow. And then along with the calcium, we do recommend giving them multivitamin once a week. It's not completely necessary, but it's just like if you were to take a multivitamin, it does help substantially with growth and coloring and all of that. The baby bearded dragons are extremely handleable. They're probably the most docile lizard that we have. As you see, I can just pick them right up, and they're good to go as long as I'm supporting their whole body and stuff like that. They're going to like your warm hands, so they're going to love to hang out with you and stuff like that, even as babies. We're going to hold them over the cage just in case they do decide to run off. But as you see, I picked him right up and he's been hanging out with me. He hasn't really tried to run off my hand or, explore too much, so they're very docile. The daily care is just going to be going around spot checking for poops, changing the water bowl because they do like to mess it up a lot, and then just checking your animal, making sure he's having no shedding problems. If so, stick him in a bath, making sure that everything's good with your animal, and that's going to be the gist of the daily care for them.